The old Ashgrove Asylum had been abandoned for decades, its walls steeped in stories of sorrow and madness. A relic of a time when mental illness was misunderstood, it stood at the edge of a forest, its silhouette jagged and imposing against the moonlit sky. Lila had always been drawn to places like this. She loved the thrill of exploring the forgotten, uncovering the stories that crumbled with the brickwork. With her flashlight in hand and her camera slung around her neck, she ventured inside, the cold air wrapping around her like an unwelcome embrace. The first thing she noticed was the silence. Not the comforting stillness of an empty place, but a suffocating void that seemed to press against her ears. Her footsteps echoed as she walked through the narrow corridors, walls peeling with faded green paint. Rusted gurneys and overturned chairs lay scattered, the remnants of a life long gone. As she turned a corner, she saw a faint glow from one of the rooms. Curiosity piqued, she approached cautiously. Inside, she found an old record player spinning, though no music played. A thick layer of dust coated the vinyl, undisturbed by time or touch. Her stomach tightened. This is ridiculous, she whispered to herself, turning to leave. A soft laugh froze her in place. It wasn't her own. It echoed faintly, a child's giggle, light and airy, yet it sent a chill down her spine. She swung her flashlight around the room, its beam slicing through the darkness. But there was no one there. Hello? She called, her voice trembling. Silence answered her. The laughter came again, this time from the corridor. Heart pounding, Lila stepped out, the beam of her flashlight trembling as she scanned the hall. The air felt heavier now, the shadows darker. Come play with us, a voice whispered, soft as a breath. It came from everywhere and nowhere. Lila's flashlight flickered. Panic surged through her as she slapped it against her palm, the light stuttering before steadying again. She broke into a run, her boots slamming against the floor, the sound echoing in the empty asylum. She reached the main hall, gasping for breath. The massive double doors loomed ahead, her escape. But as she approached, the doors slammed shut with a deafening crash. No, 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 she muttered, yanking at the handles, but they wouldn't budge. A sound behind her made her stop. It was a faint scraping, like nails on a chalkboard. She turned slowly, her flashlight revealing the long corridor she had just run through. At the far end stood a figure. It was a child. Or at least it resembled one. Its form was gaunt, its skin gray and stretched tight over its bones. Hollow black eyes stared back at her, and its mouth was twisted into a grin far too wide for its face. "Stay with us," it whispered, though its mouth didn't move. Lila screamed and turned, throwing her full weight against the door. It didn't budge. She turned back to the corridor, and the figure was closer now, though she hadn't heard it move. "Stay," it said again, louder this time. The air grew colder. Lila's breath came out in frantic puffs as she backed away, the figure advancing with slow, deliberate steps. The shadows seemed to writhe around it, stretching and reaching toward her. Desperate, she swung her flashlight at the figure, but it passed through as if through smoke. The thing laughed, a horrible, echoing sound that reverberated through the walls. And then everything went dark. When Lila woke, she was lying on the floor of the main hall. The sunlight streamed through the broken windows, painting the walls in a warm glow. She sat up, her head pounding. Her camera was gone, as was her flashlight. She staggered to her feet, her body aching. The doors creaked open easily now, revealing the overgrown path leading back to her car. As she walked away from the asylum, she felt eyes on her. Turning back, she saw the same childlike figure standing in the window, its hollow eyes following her. And in the distance, she swore she could hear laughter.